Today's episode of the Shameless Picture Show is sponsored by Mill Creek Entertainment. Mill Creek is the industry leader when it comes to value-priced DVD and Blu-ray features and compilations. They have one of the largest catalogs out there, ranging from kids programming, classic films and television, independent cinema, documentary, and Latino cinema. Hell, they even produce their own content in-house. Mill Creek is a trusted partner with some of our favorite studios, including Sony Pictures, Walt Disney Entertainment, Warner Brothers, CBS Home Entertainment, and many more. And the best part about Mill Creek is how easy they are to find. Mill Creek has deals with thousands of big box stores, grocery stores, drug stores, and practically any other retailer you can imagine. Trust me when I say I've owned plenty throughout my time as a collector without even realizing it. They're a name I can trust. Some of my favorite releases include Can't Hardly Wait, Night of the Living Dead, House on Haunted Hill from their Vincent Price collection, the complete series of Quantum Leap, the complete series of The Secret World of Alex Mack, and of course, you're the Hunter from the Future. Head over to www.millcreekent.com, that's millcreekent.com, and see what their collection has to offer. I guarantee you'll find something great.
Arrow Films is a leading independent entertainment distribution company established in 1991, operating in the UK, the Republic of Ireland, United States of America, and Canada. Arrow Films is dedicated to supporting upcoming and established filmmakers of dynamic new cinema and developing an inviolable slate of quality films that enjoy a lasting legacy across its award-winning branded labels, channels, and platforms. Arrow Films is also a leading restorer and theatrical distributor of classic and cult horror films, including landmark titles such as the 25th anniversary reissue of Cinema Paradiso, the 15th anniversary reissue of Donnie Darko, and the 30th anniversary reissue of Hellraiser. These lovingly restored films are brought back into cinemas nationwide with brand new look campaigns with wide-reaching distribution, including outdoor event status screenings at various cultural festivals, and as one-off bookings in local repertory cinemas and film societies. Arrow Films is also widely considered to be the global market leader in the premium home entertainment market, fueled by passionate and expert curation, aligned with state-of-the-art in-house film restoration, resulting in highly sought-after bespoke Blu-ray editions of classic, cult, and horror films across its Arrow Video and Arrow Academy branded labels. Beloved by collectors, these ever-expanding brands continue to delight their growing international fan base with regular interactive live events, festival sponsorship, and retail stands presence. Our offering extends to truly limited edition box sets, as well as associated spin-off products, now including books and vinyl records. We are so happy to have Arrow Video as one of our new sponsors. You can find them at www.arrowfilms.com. While you're there, be sure to pick up some cool titles. For example, they have the brand new American Werewolf in London collection, which is beautiful, the complete Sartana collection, Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3, Toys Are Not for Children, a new edition of Al Pacino's Cruising, and let's not forget a limited edition copy of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and a limited edition copy of RoboCop. There's so much more, I can't even get into them all, but trust me when I say they're fantastic, and we couldn't be happier to have them. So once again, visit Arrow Films at www.arrowfilms.com and check out all of their brands from Arrow Video, Arrow Academy, Arrow Films, and Arrow TV. All right, so talking about mashups of songs and things that sound similar, I had just seen Moana.
Yep.
And one, what can't The Rock do?
Absolutely.
And the man can do everything. He can sing. I can assume he can dance. He can wrestle. He can act. And
he can smell what he's cooking.
Yeah, we're now getting out to that sweet spot where like you can tell generationally where someone's at, depending on if they know him as The Rock or if they know him as Dwayne Johnson. So that's a fun little place to be at.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah. So I had just seen Moana, and that movie floored me because of just how good it was and just how emotional the story was. But then the music, was phenomenal. But what I loved, let me pull up the track list real quick. And I got a lot out of this. It was a little less fun having to explain it then. Hold on, I'm still pulling up the track listing. So did Lin-Manuel Miranda, he wrote all of the songs, correct?
I believe so, or at least co-wrote, but he was the major. Let's see.
Well, anyways, you had the song that Jermaine Clement did, Shiny.
Yep.
And I was geeking out over it because of how inspired it was by David Bowie. It's a very Bowie-esque song.
Totally.
In the way he's performing it, and I was geeking out about that, and then I was trying to explain the joke to Amanda and our house guest Emma, because they with his previous band Flight of the Conchords, they did a David Bowie tribute episode where they so I was like trying to explain all these layers, and I was like, okay, I feel like the joke is lost now because I've had to really over explain it. Like, the song's great regardless, and like I find myself listening to that song all the time, and then like How Far I'll Go I listen to a lot, and it's just
here we go. Okay, that didn't answer the question. I clicked on the what songs did Lin-Manuel write for Moana, and it
looks like it's credited to 3 people. So
okay,
Lin-Manuel Miranda, a man named Mark Mancini, and then I'm not even gonna pretend to know this name, but it's a New Zealand singer-songwriter, which makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that, and going back to what we were saying, it's like I feel like if a musical just needs to have something behind the music. Like Little Mermaid works because the songs are elevating the story.
The song I Want from Moana, Lin-Manuel was inspired by Part of Your World by Little Mermaid. And
that is really funny.
To fill you in, Shame listeners, we just got done recording our Little Shop of Horrors episode.
Yeah.
And right as soon as we stopped recording, I realized how similar Somewhere That's Green from that sounded like Part of Your World in Little Mermaid, and because they were written by the same people. But then as Michael starts talking about Moana and Lin-Manuel Miranda's writing in that, how he was using Part of Your World as inspiration just kind of really completed the circle in a really nice way.
Definitely. Since we're talking about animated Disney films, have you seen Onward?
Yes, I have.
Every time I've watched that movie 2 or 3 times now. I actually really love it, and considering when I first saw the first trailer, I thought it was going to be really dumb. But it actually has become one of my favorites. I think of you every time I see that movie.
Why it couldn't have anything to do with the really heavy Dungeons and Dragons undertones? Or
I was going to say it because
perhaps.
you look just like Chris Pratt, but sure.
Oh, yes. Wow. That is a sweet compliment.
Oh, you're welcome. And I look just like Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Indeed.
That's actually more complimentary to me, not derogatory towards her.
We started watching the show Kim's Convenience.
I've heard of that show.
It's a Canadian sitcom.
I love Canadian sitcoms like Corner Gas.
It reminds me a lot of Schitt's Creek.
I've not seen that, but I'm familiar with it.
Anyway, one of the characters in season 2 they get an apartment, so we finally see this character's bedroom, and he has D&D stickers on his wall. I'm like, oh, there's a beholder, and that's from Tomb of Annihilation, and that's the ampersand. And then I saw like on his bookshelf in another shot a little box of like pre-painted miniatures that I'm like, oh, I know what set that's from.
I love that.
I got to nerd out. Speaking of which, did you enjoy the frost giant that I was painting that I sent you pictures of yesterday?
Very much so. Very much so. Like my friend Kyle, who's been on the show a couple times now, he has been getting into mini painting because he just recently got into D&D, but before that he was playing, I think it's called Star Wars Rogue Squadron, which is like a big tabletop board game that has little minis, and he also got into like a Western D&D knockoff. So he's been doing a lot of mini painting, and and it's like, I don't know, I'm just impressed by anyone that could do that.
It's like with my hand tremors, it's probably not the hobby that I should have gotten into.
I was gonna ask you about that, but I could not think of a way to ask that without potentially sounding mean.
No, I'm not offended by it. It is tricky. There are some techniques that I can use to help steady the brush and things. I've actually found some like YouTube channels of other mini painters with either Parkinson's or essential tremors or other tremor.
I imagine it would be
issues.
A pretty good training to try to like I don't want to say work on it, but like learn to control it a little bit better.
Yeah, I can't. There's no way for me to control it, but what I can do is come up with like bracing techniques so that it reduces the impact of the shaking on the final product. But yeah, that one I was working on the other day, I was particularly proud of.
But anyways, if we got nothing else to talk about, we can just get on right to the topic.
That something in the same vein as Moana and these other like family friendly movies that'll I think segue nicely into our topic. What if I were to tell you that this movie is like the perfect combination of both Highlander and Enter the Dragon? I'd believe you. Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
Well, let me take a sip. Let me take a sip of half and half Arnold Palmer Light. Do they make a non-light version? I don't think they do.
No, and that pisses me off because I don't want a light version of it. It's lemonade and iced tea. Like sugar substitutes. I avoid like the plague.
I usually do too. This is kind of my only.
But yeah, because Arnold Palmer's are like really good, and they're not typically don't have quite as much sugar. They can be, but
yeah,
depending on the lemonade and iced tea you use.
This movie podcast actually discusses movies. Be aware that it may discuss any of the following elements: endings, surprise twists, unexpected cameos, and all manner of spoilers. If this doesn't appeal to you, why listen to a movie podcast? Without further ado, please enjoy our feature presentation, The Shameless Picture Show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Shameless Picture Show. I am Michael Viers, and with me, as always, is a man who makes every episode a flawless victory.
Nick Richards!
On today's episode, we'll be doing one of our very special double feature episodes where we will discuss both Paul W.S. Anderson's Mortal Kombat from 1995 and Simon McQuoid's, I think that's how you pronounce it, Simon McQuoid? Let's go for McQuoid. I'll go Simon McQuoid. Simon McQuoid's 2021 reboot with the same name. Both films have a very similar plot, so I'm going to do my best to describe them both simultaneously. The Mortal Kombat cinematic universe is based on the incredibly popular Mortal Kombat video game franchise from the early 90s developed by Midway Games. And anyone in Wisconsin definitely knows that because one of our governors tried to get the game banned. Mortal Kombat, in the context of this universe, is a martial arts tournament that is held once every generation, and fighters from various realms are chosen to defend their worlds. Earthrealm and Outworld have been locked in a fight over the last 9 generations, and if Outworld wins their 10th consecutive victory, Earth will be invaded by the Emperor of Outworld. In Paul W.S. Anderson's version of the film, the Thunder God Raiden has chosen 3 champions to fight for the honor of Earthrealm: the Shaolin monk Liu Kang, the action movie star Johnny Cage, and the Special Forces officer Sonya Blade. Together, they must travel to a mysterious island, fight the evil sorcerer Shang Tsung, and best the Outworld champions. While the 95 Mortal Kombat was loved by fans of the game, had a sequel, a cartoon, and a live-action TV show, they failed to capture the same success, and the movie franchise floundered for a while. I think a couple like fan films popped up and maybe a couple animated things, but realistically, though, Mortal Kombat Annihilation bombed so bad that they haven't touched it. Until producers James Wan, Todd Garner, and Simon McQuoid signed on to reboot the franchise. One thing that was important to them was to finally bring Mortal Kombat's iconic fatalities to screen. In this new version of the film, Earthrealm and Outworld are still entwined in an epic battle for supremacy, but we now follow a new character to the franchise, Cole Young. Cole has a dragon-shaped birthmark on his body, which means he's been chosen to fight for the honor of Earth, alongside Jax, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and the criminal Kano. Sonya Blade is also along for the ride, but sadly she was not chosen to be one of the fighters. It's a very similar plotline to the original film and the games, but instead of a tournament, they are training for said tournament. Don't worry though, there is still a shit ton of fights. The 95 film was written by Kevin Droney, shot by John R. Leonetti, with music by George S. Clinton, and stars Robin Shaw, Lyndon Ashby, Cary Huyuki Tagawa, Bridget Wilson from Billy Madison fame, and our boy Christopher Lambert as Lord Raiden in the weirdest casting choice up until Mortal Kombat Annihilation, when they recast him for James Remar, which is even fucking weirder. But the 2021 film was written by Greg Russo and Dave Callahan, shot by Jermaine McMickling, with music by Benjamin Wallfish, and stars Louis Tan, Jessica McNamee, Josh Lawson, McCade Brooks, Ludi Lin, and Chin Han as the evil sorcerer Shang Tsung. Trailers, kung fu fighting, Mortal Kombat!
Finish him!
In each of us, there burns the fury of a warrior. In every generation, a few are chosen to prove it.
One of you three will decide the outcome of the tournament.
Three strangers will travel to the mystical realm of Outworld to defend our people against Shang Tsung.
You will die.
And his forces of darkness in an ancient tournament. One more victory.
Your soul is mine.
And our world is theirs.
It has begun!
You can't run from me, Shang!
I don't need to run.
Combat begins.
First learned about this 7 years ago. On a mission in Brazil to capture a wanted fugitive. When we got there, it tore through our unit in seconds. The target had superhuman abilities. It had the same marking you do, Cole.
It's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
He was born with it.
It's not a birthmark, Cole. It means you've been chosen.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world reference a great tournament of champions. That dragon marking? I think it's an invitation to fight for something known. As Mortal Kombat.
These are your champions.
I'm Sonya. That's Kano.
I'm Liu Kang.
Name's Jax.
Kung Lao.
Lord Raiden.
The fate of Earth is in our hands.
No matter how many of my people you put in the ground, we will not fail. Kill them.
I am Sub-Zero.
Wins. You fucking beauty.
So one thing I do need to say, one thing I kind of hate about streaming in the world of streaming is, and I don't know if you necessarily, if anyone but me runs into this, but I feel like whenever I start something, I start watching something, the first 5 to 10 seconds are quiet, like there's nothing there, and then the audio kicks in for whatever reason. I don't know why that is, but I feel like if I start a show, like whenever I'm watching The Simpsons, you know, they go right into The Simpsons. I always hear Simpsons, like they always cut out the beginning part. And I don't know if it's just me, but it's really annoying because like I know how Mortal Kombat begins, and it starts off with the guy going Mortal Kombat, but all I heard was Bat. Because it cut off the very beginning part. Bat.
It really changes the setup for the
film. I know,
film.
I was like,
Oh, is this going to be about the coronavirus?
Because my voice is so raspy, I can hit that perfectly.
It is. It sounds amazing.
It's probably going to sound like shit when you listen to it later on, though.
You're like the Joker's new henchman.
So, yeah, just quick diatribe. So, Nick, you picked this. You picked this topic.
Yes. So, Mortal Kombat, the original,
you mean
was on that one was on my shame list. So, though I grew up playing the video game,
I was going to ask you that.
I was a victim of the parents of that generation who didn't want to expose their kids to that kind of violence.
So tame, so in comparison.
Well, that's something that I really want to get into in this episode is how everybody knows how violent the video game is, like it has become more gory and violent as it's been developed, but at the time that kind of violence it was that and Doom. Yeah. That were the two big violent ones. And though I got away with playing the video game, I don't think they monitored the video games as much as they did TV and movies. No. So I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons as a kid because it wasn't a happy family dynamic, that Homer choked Bart and he called him Homer and said they didn't like that and didn't want me exposed to that. I couldn't watch MTV. I almost said MCTV, which is the public access station. I couldn't, but it had nothing to do with my parents. And so Mortal Kombat, the film, was another one that my friends got to go see that I couldn't. So it was, Raina was excited about the remake of it. She liked the original. Yeah. And particularly Sonya's character, I think she had a crush on. But so she was excited to see it. And I'm like, well, I'd like to kind of anchor myself, so let's watch the original first. And
the original is such just flaws and all. It's just such a fun ride.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's funny. So I grew up playing the video games a little bit. So by the time that me and my brother had a Sega, the Sega wasn't cool anymore. Okay. Sega. They were just starting to bring out the PlayStation 1. So my dad, give you a frame of reference, my dad got our Sega from the thrift store he worked at. Oh, and he brought it home. It was super fucking cool. It had 2 controllers, but the second controller didn't have an A button. And of course, we had Streets of Rage, Earthworm Jim, and then Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. And when you don't have an A button in Mortal Kombat, it kind of limits what you can do in that game.
Uppercut.
I think I could jump. I feel like I could jump. I feel like I couldn't do a lot of attacks, so my brother would always beat me. But like, I remember like it was the first game that like I'd ever seen like fatalities or anything with, where like there's certain like combinations you hit and you can do certain things.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like it kind of blew my mind like how lifelike the characters looked at the time because of the video game style.
Right. Yeah.
And then like we got that device right around the time that I would say I had first seen the Mortal Kombat, you know, a little bit later after it came out. And finally, this game took on a new level, new appreciation for me because I now had context to what was happening in the game. Because
you had a story.
Yeah, because my biggest problem with fighting games is I get bored fast. There's not much going on. Like, and I don't like button mashing and shit like that. So like, it added this level of like, oh, there's a story behind this. This is cool.
And all that you have in the video game to like exemplify that is in between fights when it goes up that mountain. Your picture just slides up the mountain to another fighter. Like all of a sudden that is really the storyline as you ascending
and
through.
Like I believe all the characters had, because like video games back when we were kids were cool because like they'd always come with a booklet. And the booklet would give you like the backstory, the lore, what's going on. Like, you know, growing up, if I was playing Super Mario World, I didn't, you know, why is Mario here? What's going on? But if you looked at the booklet, it would explain what's going on, who's Bowser's kids are and everything. It would make sense. So like I feel like all these characters had backstories that came in the little booklet, but you didn't get that from playing the game. And for some reason, I always liked the movie. I liked both movies. I thought the world of Mortal Kombat was really cool. It's going to go into a topic I eventually want to cover of lore versus story, because these movies had phenomenal lore. So yeah, when I heard about the new one coming out, I was like, oh, that's cool. And for some reason, it just didn't click until I finally saw a trailer for it. I'm like, oh, this looks the way that Mortal Kombat, the video games and the movie looked in my head as a kid.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
So it's like then I got excited. Then when you're like, let's do Mortal Kombat, and it almost felt like a dirty thing. I was like, can we talk about Mortal Kombat? I don't know why. Like we've talked about You're the Hunter from the Future, but for some reason I was like, we can do Mortal Kombat. Like especially because like I had seen it, so I just assumed everyone had seen it. Like so it's
right.
So I guess,
and it wasn't. It's not like when I was putting together my shame list that like Mortal Kombat was what. Like, why would that have popped into my head?
Yeah.
So it was really the experience of Raina wanting to see the new one. That like, oh yeah, we could totally.
Because even thinking of like when we were pitching ideas back and forth, like you pitched You're the Hunter from the Future to me because it was a movie that meant a lot to you as a kid. You know, like Mortal Kombat like was a big part. I feel like there's a year or two span where in my childhood where I can think like, yeah, Mortal Kombat was the shit. We'd all want to be Mortal Kombat characters. But then as I got older, I didn't think anything of it. There was like, I think there was one point I was walking it through Target and I found like a Mortal Kombat collection that was one in Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation for $5 on Blu-ray. And I'm like, and I walked away. So it's like, it's not even as that big of a film for me. But as I rewatched it and then watched the new one, all that came hitting back. I'm like, oh, I like this world more than I like the video games.
Right. I was surprisingly impressed by the trailer for the new one. It's not often that that a trailer wins me over enough that like a movie that I wouldn't have ordinarily had any interest in, suddenly I do. And that was one where the trailer for the new one, I watched it, I'm like, oh, that could actually be that. I really like the setup.
What about the trailer hooked you?
The way that they talked about the tournament and being drawn into the tournament. And now, again, I hadn't seen any of the older films. I actually am just now realizing that there was the Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I missed that one. Wasn't on my radar at all.
Well, now you got to watch it.
Right. So, and I think, having not seen any of those, the idea of a Mortal Kombat film, first off, video game adaptations are very tricky to get right. Most of them are disappointing or subpar, or, you know, we all of our listeners know your love for the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes.
But I think, from hearing you talk about it, I think part of the charm, it's not like your love for it is how well they adapted the video game. If anything, it's that they took it and ran with it in a totally different direction, and that's part of your appreciation for it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. They took a kernel of an idea from a very basic side-scrolling video game, and they made a piece of art.
Yeah, they did. The trailer, the way that they pitched it, and it felt to me like, oh, this might actually be a successful video game adaptation. Like, that they actually took the spirit of the game and turned it into a watchable, successful film. Yeah. And I believe, having seen the film now, being on the other end, I stand by that, and I think that they did.
Actually, I think, so friend of the show, Mark Krofchek, who was, just recently on the show, Movie Man Mark, he said on one of my statuses about Mortal Kombat that he still thinks that the original 95 Mortal Kombat film is one of the most true adaptations to a movie that has been put to screen. And I was thinking about that, because I think I enjoyed the new one more, though weirdly enough, I think the original might be a little bit more rewatchable. But anyways, and I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know what? I don't think he's wrong. I think that 95 movie is almost a perfect adaptation of that video game at that time, Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. Because you watch that movie, you play those games, they feel perfectly in line with each other. Yep. Where I think the 2021 film, what it does so well, is it's a perfect adaptation of maybe the newer games. I don't know, I don't play them, but like the way I wanted Mortal Kombat to look, as I said before. So like I feel like they are both great video game adaptations for very different reasons.
Yes. And I think part of why that, again, if you erase any knowledge of any Mortal Kombat TV or film, and somebody said to you, let's remake Mortal Kombat, like, that sounds like an intimidating challenge, right? Because there is so little narrative content in that particular video game. Yeah. There are video games with most video games have much more story than Mortal Kombat does. But going back to a conversation that we had on our previous recording before, that will be totally out of context for our listeners right now. Sometimes the challenges presented can be a creator's best friend, where I think where the Mortal Kombat films were so successful is they kept it really simple. Yeah. They didn't try and infuse too much story into something that didn't already have it. They're like, this is going to be primarily fighting, and we just need just enough story to tie that together. Yeah. Through the tournament and people coming to the tournament and getting knocked out of the tournament.
It's simple.
They kept it simple, and because of that, I think they succeeded.
Yeah. It's almost disheartening. Like, so like I said, I'm not like a huge Mortal Kombat super fan. I'm not.
Nor am I.
But like, I enjoyed this film enough that like I think when it comes out, I'll probably end up buying it, because it reminded me once again, like I said, of like Enter the Dragon or of Game of Death, those Bruce Lee films where it's just tournament based. It also reminded me a lot of Highlander. Like, it just had that, not even because of Christopher Lambert. That was just an added bonus, but just like this, your destiny type of thing. And I also love movies where it has like mixed styles, because like you watch Mortal Kombat, you could be at one point, in Shaolin, China, And then, like, next you got Sonya Blade with a fucking machine gun raiding a rave. It's like you have all these different worlds coming together, which I've always appreciated. But, like, what I find really disheartening is, so I love the original Mortal Kombat film, but objectively, it is not always a very good film. Acting can be questionable. The CGI effects are terrible.
A victim of their time to some degree. It didn't age well.
Prince Gordo, like, that live action stuff was pretty fucking cool. Most of the fights are pretty well choreographed, but it's not shot particularly well. It feels very much like it's on a stage, so on and so forth. But I still love the film. What I find really disheartening is, like, I'm on Letterboxd right now, and not even before I went on Letterboxd, just like how many people I've seen online who are just like shitting on these films, like. They're shitting on this movie, and they like, oh, I love the original film, but this doesn't have any of the spirit. It's a poor story, which makes me laugh because it's the
what were you expecting?
Yeah, this one makes me laugh. So it's by a reviewer named Silent Dawn. I'm gonna read their whole review just so I can kind of talk for a minute about why I don't agree with it. They give it 1 star. They say, stay away from whatever this shit is. Say what you will about the 1995 Paul W.S. Anderson Mortal Kombat as an adaptation, but it has a delightful sense of style and a crazed techno energy, which I agree with. It's great with a couple beers and the volume cranked. This one is Mortal Kombat for the content era, which means it's poorly lit, I don't agree with, full of quips, so is the original one, and honestly could be replaced with a fart sound with little to no change, and directed with too many unnatural close-ups and medium shots for the action. Not to mention, it's cut to shreds in the editing and designed entirely for a sequel in a larger universe. Maybe they should focus on making a decent movie first before worrying about the next 5 installments. There's no tournament in this. If you're making a movie for the fans, how do you fuck that up? And that's the least of its problems. Mortal Kombat is mostly a miserable experience, anti-fun in a way that any Mortal Kombat movie shouldn't be, destined to be watched on HBO Max in the daytime or in a multiplex with dim projector bulbs. So, like, so many of his problems with the new Mortal Kombat were problems I had with the original one. Like, Johnny Cage has that line, like, those are $5,000 sunglasses, asshole, or bring it on. Like, it's like...
That yes, this goes back to I chalk all of that up to the nostalgia factor. Like, that reviewer most likely saw that, but back when he was younger and therefore had fewer expectations, and now going in as an adult had and being more cynical and critical, sees the same things. And now hates it.
Yeah.
But, like, still has that special place in their heart for the first one.
Because, like, I actually felt like this, well, there wasn't, as you know, the story's exactly the same. Yeah, there wasn't an actual tournament, but you can say there was barely a tournament in the original film.
That did not leave me missing anything. Like, it was still them going to fight that's such a minor narrative note. It's not like the tournament in the first one provided anything to the original that this one did.
Yeah, and I thought the filming of this film was fantastic. I remember texting you.
I agree.
When and I was like just watching the first 10-15 minutes of the movie, and I said to you, like, this opening shot is better than the original Mortal Kombat film as an entirety. And I still and I still stand by that. Because it had a, like, the original Mortal Kombat film kind of it feels like the movie itself is winking at the camera. Like, it doesn't feel like it's taking itself too seriously. What I like about this film is it takes this preposterous fucking plot line and these crazy characters like fucking Sub-Zero and Scorpion and treats them with sincerity. But it also is willing to make fun of itself. Like, I loved the scene in the new one where Sonya Blade brings Cole Young to her trailer and is showing her all, like, these ancient artifacts and whatever, and they have Mortal Kombat written on the wall, and he goes, that can't be spelled correctly.
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
Like, it's making fun of itself, but not in, like, where it's shitting on the material. It's being like, okay, it almost feels like we know this material is very much of its time and it's a little goofy, but we're going to still take it seriously. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this new one because I went in not expecting much, to be completely frank with you. I thought I was going to have a great time rewatching the old one, and there was actually a point where I got a little bored watching the old one. I still love it, but it's like I got distracted with other things. But there was never a point during the new one where like I wasn't focused on what was happening on the screen because everything was well choreographed, it was well shot, and like I said, the story is pretty much this. I actually thought there was more story in the new one.
Yeah,
but once again, it goes back to what I was saying before about Mortal Kombat doesn't have as much of a story. They have lore. They have deep backstory. There's characters you can build off of. But when people say this movie is not faithful to the story of Mortal Kombat, I jokingly said to you, it's like, you mean the story of two people fighting? Like,
yeah, totally. Like, are these great films? No. Are they good films? No. They're decently made. But shame on anyone for going in thinking that these are going to be great films. Like, you can't, that's not a cut on the directors, the actors, the gaffers, anyone involved. You go in to watch a video game adaptation of people fighting. Like, you can't. I don't know what people expected from it.
Yeah.
Like, if not this, then what? Like, I dare anyone to make a better Mortal Kombat movie.
I
don't think it can be done.
Like, sure, there's a hardcore super fan out there who knows everything about the video games that can say craft a movie that's got all these in-jokes and all these little things to the franchise and maybe better fan service to the world of Mortal Kombat. But for a movie that I think
that's different than making a good movie.
Yeah, I think what this film does well is, I'm vaguely familiar with the world of Mortal Kombat. I knew a lot of the characters coming into this. I didn't really have to look anyone up. It was like, oh, I remember that character from Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah.
I remember that guy.
Jax. Okay.
Yeah, or like I was really happy to see that they had like Cabal and Kung Lao. I was like, oh shit, I hadn't thought of those people in forever.
Was that the hat
guy? Yeah. I was like, oh, he's always my favorite to play as. Shit like that. Like, but like, I guess I don't know what the diehard fans were looking for, but I feel like this film does a good job of making something that's watchable and fun for everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
And that guy's criticism, like, oh, they're just thinking about the sequels. You can't say that for sure.
I agree.
Like, I don't know.
Again, you're trying to create an hour and a half made entirely out of these people fighting. And actually, one of the things that I really loved about the films was their nod to old kung fu movies, which isn't, and perhaps I should have, but it's not anything that I ever associated with Mortal Kombat, the video game, to be specific. So to see them, the way that the cameras moved and the way that they framed shots, the way that they choreographed fights, it was a fun nod for me to see, like, and I was never particularly into kung fu either, but like I knew enough to see what they were doing, and I really enjoyed that. I think it brought artistic integrity again to a very challenging project, challenging conceptually.
Yeah, 100%. And like I like both of these films, I really do. And I have to say, like, the sound design on the new one was phenomenal. There's a point where which I love that they kind of cast Sub-Zero to be Terminator in this movie, where he's sent to like hunt people down, and the sound design is phenomenal. There's a point where like, they're kind of hinting at Sub-Zero and like there's supposed to be like ice surrounding the person, and like I could hear it behind me and everything. Like this sound design was great. And like there's little things too, like, so from playing the video games, I know that there's a rivalry between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. They mention it very briefly in the original 95 movie. They're like, oh, these two are in a lifelong rivalry, but they're under my control.
Don't worry.
I like that we got to see it. Like, we got to see why these two have it out for each other. And I don't know. Like, I guess going in not anticipating to like it, it was everything I wanted out of this movie.
Yeah. I think where the newer one was less, maybe I'll word it this way. Halfway through watching the newer one, I'm like, this is doing everything that the first one did, but much better.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It looks better. The acting's better. I think they took it more because of the era that it was built in. I think it was less of those like goofy one-liners that kind of worked just fine for the first one, again, for what it is, but took me out of it a little bit. I was glad to see that they didn't go that route with the remake. But like the final act of this one kind of felt like it felt like nothing really happened in the last act of the remake where something did in the first one. And again, I'm being critical of something that I have said myself, like, keep your expectations low. But if I were to say that any spot where the remake didn't quite deliver, it was in that.
Yeah,
just the story of how they resolved.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong; it's not to say I didn't have problems with the new Mortal Kombat. Like one, and like it didn't take me out of the story. It just seemed like it was a weird choice. So we were introduced to this new character, Cole Young, who, when we meet him, he's losing MMA fights. They portray him as a person who sucks at fighting, and then he becomes great by the end of it.
Right.
That feels weird because I think it would have been even maybe a better story beat for him to be like, where we to find out that like, oh, he's losing intentionally because like maybe it pays better or some shit, like,
right,
you know, like yeah, like that was a small little thing. It's like I kept waiting for there to be like the bait and switch, like, oh, he doesn't suck at fighting, he's been losing intentionally or something like that.
Right.
You know, so like, you know, like almost maybe like you know, he severely injured someone in a boxing match in a fight one time, so he can't bring himself to fight for real, but this is the only thing he's good enough to make money, so now he throws fights just so he can get paid or some shit like.
Right.
And you're like, oh, that could have worked, but like, so like I said, it's not without its problems, but it's similar problems that the original film had. Like, you know, I don't feel like I necessarily got a whole lot of any of the characters in the original film either. Like, you know, I always think of that scene of Johnny Cage in the original film where, you know, he's coming off of the film set and he runs into who we can only assume to be his former master, like the guy who taught him to fight. And they have like this, and it never comes back again because we find out it wasn't actually him. But still, it's like that was a weird inclusion of a scene. Like you have like, oh, I haven't seen you forever. It's so good, and you know, like, oh, he never comes back again. Like, you know, like there's a lot of characters that they're trying to put into an hour and a half to an hour and 45-minute movie. And not only that, but then they need to make time for the fights. It honestly reminds me a lot of pornography, where it's like, how do you fit a story into this movie where we need to have people fucking every 10 minutes?
Well, the pizza guy shows up.
Yeah, but you know, he doesn't like his tip, so they go into a fight.
I love that analogy. It's video game porn.
Yeah, like honestly, it's the same concept. It's the same concept, or it's the same thing with slasher films. It's like slasher films could only have so good of a story because you realistically need to have a killer set piece every 10 minutes of the film.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like when you have a movie like this, or even the original film, where you don't have one true main character. I would say the 2021 film does a little bit better job at trying to focus on one character. Right, yeah. Whereas Mortal Kombat 95 made you feel like all three were the lead character. And then they threw in a love interest for Liu Kang halfway through the movie, which was interesting. And then we can't finish this episode until we talk about fucking Christopher Lambert.
His Raiden was so strange.
Yeah.
And I'm left wondering how much of it was Christopher Lambert, which I believe was most of it. How much was the writing of the character? How much was the direction? Was it a mismatch?
Yeah.
Was something not connecting? Or was it just Christopher Lambert being super weird?
Think this through. There is a rational explanation for this.
He's Raiden, god of lightning and protector of the realm of Earth.
Oh, great.
Oh, there's your rational explanation.
Listen. What you're about to face is vastly more important than your ego, your enemy, or your quest for revenge. You have embarked on a sacred mission. You have been chosen to defend the realm of Earth in a tournament called Mortal Kombat.
Defended from who?
Your world is but one of many realms. One of them is a forsaken land called Outworld, ruled by an immortal who has crowned himself emperor. Now he seeks a new world to conquer and enslave.
Oh, wait a second. If this guy is so powerful, then why doesn't he just invade us?
To enter the realm of Earth, the Emperor's demon sorcerer Shang Tsung and his warriors have to win 10 straight victories in Mortal Kombat. They have won 9. This will be the 10th tournament.
A handful of people on a leaky boat are gonna save the world.
Exactly.
Also, like, casting like a white dude as like Lord Raiden was a big it doesn't surprise me at all.
No, not at all.
A huge mistake. He was the voice he was trying to do was not working.
Well, he's got a slight accent anyways because he's French.
Right, and I think there was another stage in between that, right? Like, I think it was like French, but then lived somewhere else that it was like layers of strangeness to the accent. And maybe I'm remembering that wrong, but
yeah.
And then
I don't know his history. I think he's USA born, but he spent a good portion of his life in other countries.
Okay. And he's trying to do this voice that it was just bizarre.
Yeah. Like, and then like I said, it's like in the sequel they recast him for James Remar, which is also a weird choice.
And this is the Annihilation one? Okay, that I did. That's the one
I think it would have been very tongue-in-cheek choice to, if they're going to recast him with another white guy, they should have recast him with Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown?
He played the Kurgan.
Oh, yeah!
I think that would have been great. Because, like I said, it was not even because of Christopher Lambert, but like I just really got Highlander vibes from this film. Yeah. And I think part of the reason was like we didn't get a lot of it, but like the couple times in this movie where you'd have these fighters in more industrial like areas, it's like, oh, that reminds me of the parking lot structure fight in Highlander.
Right.
And I think I talked about in that episode, I always really liked movies and content where you have these ancient forces or these ancient people or whatever fighting in more contemporary industrial location. I don't know why. It's just kind of a weird sweet spot for me.
And certainly for the Mortal Kombat films, like it's the nod to like the level design and things, how they, all right, let's come up with 10 different settings where these two people can be fighting. And again, I think they did a surprisingly good job at figuring out a way to take that element of the video games and turning it into something that actually ended up working in the films.
Yeah, and like, because I think about like, the two big fighting games growing up for me, and I'm sure you, were Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. And I always leaned more towards Mortal Kombat while I wasn't a huge fan of either, because it's like I liked this mysticism and magic and like swords and weapons and shit, but that was also like in one level you can be in hell, in one level you'll be fighting at a Shaolin temple, the other level you'll be fighting in a parking garage, whereas like
New York City,
like other than being able to shoot like things out, like blasts out of their hands and shit, like more Street Fighter felt relatively like I can't think of the word, but like it just didn't feel as not far-fetched, like mystical, I guess. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Okay. Like it just felt like it was more grounded than Mortal Kombat, which is why I like Mortal Kombat, because I like that you can have a fucking ninja named Scorpion who shoots a thing out of his hand and spits acid.
Right. Yep.
Or rips off half of his mask and he's like a skeleton.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, that Scorpion fight in the original '95 film was pretty fucking cool. When they're fighting down, like first when they're walking through those trees and he's like popping up behind the trees, and then they get sent down to hell and shit.
Yeah, that one's a state. Like I'm remembering bits and pieces of it.
He was fighting Johnny Cage and shit. And...
Okay.
And then like he ripped off his mask and he's just a skeleton head, and
that's again the like cheesy mid-90s CGI.
But even like the little CGI of like the thing coming out of his hand, it's like, you know what? That's not terrible.
I found myself giggling at it, and again, like how do you can see them trying to like make sense of these things that you don't need to make sense of in the video games. I think the newer one did it better. Like I liked that rope thing that he had, and then it kind of like after he died, it kind of, you know, became tied into his persona, versus just it like pushing through the skin of the palm. But again, like, what do you expect out of a Mortal Kombat movie? It's about expectations.
I do have to say, I love that both movies had their big moment of Liu Kang hitting that really ridiculous bicycle kick. But they both like built to this big moment of it happening too. I know that always amuses me. Yeah, I honestly like I don't dislike either of these films. I like both of these films, and funny enough, after I had rewatched the original and watched the new one, I was kind of on like a Mortal Kombat high, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch Annihilation, and I never really watched that TV show. I wonder how that is, and I'm sure I'll lose interest somewhere in the process of this. But I was like, I just like this world. I just want to keep doing shit in this world, not necessarily play the games, because that and I would get bored, but
yeah, before I was kind of complaining about Johnny Cage's like comic relief in the first one, and I stand by it. But another way that the remake I felt was more effective was Jax being the comedic relief in the new one. I think as like a grizzled kind of asshole character, I think he served that narrative purpose much better. That actor, that performance, that the writing, I think he was much better.
I agree.
And I'm thinking of the right name, right? The one with the laser eye.
Oh no, that's Kano.
Kano. Jax is the robot arm.
Yeah. And then
okay, Kano in the new one.
Yes, I agree. He was a lot of fun. And then the last thing, I've been kind of touching on it, but I wanted to bring it up again just to give my kind of thoughts on it. As I said before, I said to you when we were originally messaging, and especially when people are complaining about the story in this film. And I went on to say that I think a lot of people confuse three things. They confuse lore, story, and plot, all being the same thing.
Yeah.
And like
in the same way that they'll confuse like protagonist, main character, and hero.
Yes. And like, I guess, and if someone's out there who's a big fan of these fucking video games, please correct me if I'm wrong. But
I'm sure they will. To my knowledge, I just never thought there was a whole lot of story going on in these games. The story is, you know, Earthrealm and Outworld in a battle with each other, and if Outworld wins, it's going to take over the Earth. So the Earth needs to choose their champions to fight back. That's the story. Plot is then, so that's the story. The fighters of Earth need to stop the fighters of Outworld from taking over. That's the story. Plot is what happens then in that story. You know, Liu Kang meets Lord Raiden, and Lord Raiden tells him he needs to go to this boat. Liu Kang goes to the boat, meets these people. These people then go to the island. That's plot. So the video games has a story, but the video games have zero plot.
And then lore is the backstory. It's all the stuff that are built into it's world building. And that's where I think Mortal Kombat does very well, is it has a big world. So I guess I'm just legitimately curious, like, I would love to hear from a fan of Mortal Kombat who loves the original film, who hates the new one, or maybe just, you know, wasn't a fan of it, and find out what they thought the original film did better than the new one and why. And I'm not trying to start a fight. I legitimately want to know, because for my money, I thought the 2021 film did a better job than the original one. I still think the 95 version is a lot of fun, and like I said, it might even be a little bit more rewatchable just because of how fun it is.
Yeah.
But like that's what I want to know. It's like if you have a problem with the story and story how I defined it, what is wrong with the story? Because they have the same story. Yes, there wasn't an actual tournament, but they still got to the same point.
Right. And to say the movie sucks because it didn't have a tournament is not really a valid.
And it was tied into the story too. You know, Shang Tsung's like, he essentially said, fuck the tournament. Let's kill them beforehand so that way we don't have opposition. Right. Yep. And then, they're stronger than we thought. Well, we'll have to regroup and come back for the tournament. Like, yes, they are building towards a sequel, but every movie is.
Right.
You know.
And you can validly say that you're disappointed that they didn't include a tournament. But that's different than the movie sucks because it didn't.
Yeah, because like the original film apparently had a tournament, and it was barely a tournament. Like we saw a couple fights, and I don't really feel like it was a tournament, other than they said
no. The fights were really kind of happening it was like pre-tournament battles, and then like an argument broke out in the food hall. So it wasn't the structured tournament that we were watching the whole time. And I think you need to have that in order to build narrative in a place where there is no plot, right? Because if it starts out, if what we're watching is the tournament, there's like then it's a one-act film.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I mean, it's not impossible, but I understand why they divided it up.
Seriously, I keep going back to Enter the Dragon. Enter the Dragon was able to have a tournament in the film, but then also have a James Bond subplot and all this other stuff going on. Like, if the tournament is your whole big thing of why you like the 95 movie the best, they didn't even do a tournament that well. Like, there's better movies that have done the tournament better. Like, I think that's semantics. So it's like if you don't like the story, I'd really like to find out why, because they have essentially the same story. I can understand if someone's like, I don't like the plot. You know, there's too much plot. There's too much going on. There's too much happening. I'd still debate that, but that's your opinion. You know, if you didn't like the way that the plot played out to tell the story, understandable. I would still like to hear why. And, you know, I thought it was pretty true to the lore of Mortal Kombat. Like, I guess that's the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally. For the record, based on this conversation, I am officially adding Enter the Dragon to my Shame list.
Oh, you've not seen it?
I have not seen. I haven't watched a whole lot of like kung fu kind of.
It's probably Bruce
stories.
Lee's best known film.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's considered one of the greatest martial arts films of all time. I think I like some of his other films better, but Enter the Dragon is one of the most important kung fu films of all time because it brought it to the United States.
Yeah, okay. I am not sure if I have ever seen a Bruce Lee film.
Well, I guess let's do it this way. We'll see Enter the Dragon, because I think Enter the Dragon is most people's entry point to Bruce Lee.
It's a good gateway.
If you're like, that was fine, I don't know if I necessarily need to see more, fine. If you're like, I like that enough that I'd see another one, let me know, and then we can kind of build from there.
Right, yeah. So there's one more thing I'd like to dive into here,
Yeah.
And again, we kind of hinted at it in our pre-show texting. Something that I found really interesting I watched the original first, was the lack of violence.
Yeah.
So the video game was notorious at the time for being super violent, super bloody, super gory. The fatalities, like it was like the D&D Satanic Panic, but of the 90s. The thing that the PTA parents were like, oh, heavens to Betsy, my little Tommy is playing this devil worshipping game with blood and spinal cords being ripped out and whatever. So it surprised me, and I kind of pieced it together afterwards pretty quickly, but how whenever like they would like start to set up, so a fatality is going to happen, and then they'd cut away, and maybe you hear a squelch or something, but there was zero blood, like there were some punches and things, but there was so little actual violence in a game based on violent battles to the death.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy, like that they made a Mortal Kombat movie that was PG-13.
So I realized that the core audience for this film, when the original, when it came out, was like, what, 12 to 17-year-olds maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
So if you don't make this film PG-13 or PG, you know, ideally, your core audience can't go.
Yeah.
And it's gonna, like, if they put blood and gore in this film, they would not have had an audience for it.
No, and it's like like back then, parents weren't playing Mortal Kombat.
Right,
Kids were.
yeah.
Nowadays, it's 18 plus who are playing Mortal Kombat.
Right. In the same way that, like, bands, their style, or maybe a better analogy is a radio station.
Mm-hmm.
So a radio station that I listened to in the 90s that was playing new music is now playing oldies.
Yeah.
Because like, it doesn't make sense to try and regain an audience every decade.
Mm-hmm.
It makes more sense to keep catering to the people that are already listening. So I that's another reason why I think it's a great time to redo Mortal Kombat, because now their audience, the people that were playing it when they were 13 and are now in their 30s and 40, you know, that they're old enough, now they get the Mortal Kombat gore that they couldn't include back in the 90s. And it shows. Like, the new one was very gory and bloody, and not too much. It wasn't like this is the second time we're going to reference Saw in as many episodes, but, like, you know, it wasn't hostile.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be, but they got to make it bloody.
Yeah.
They got to see somebody get ripped in two by the saw blade hat, you know, that alone, watching these two back to back and watching them both for the first time, that was the biggest, most stark difference between the two. And it makes a lot of sense based on when they came out and how old their audience was.
Yeah. Like, you know, that, like, it was one of the earlier fights in the movie, but, like, when you had Jax fighting Sub-Zero and he got his fucking arms ripped off. You're like,
right?
Yeah.
And Jack's origin story. There you go. We got to see the arm. We got to see Scorpion become Scorpion. We got to see Jax become Jax. It was cool. There wasn't too much origin story, but we got to see several people become who we knew them as.
Yeah, I completely agree.
There's plot.
Mm-hmm.
But turning lore into plot.
Yeah. Yeah, because all those little things, that's just plot points. You know, the story is, you know, if we're going to really whittle it down, saving the world.
As is usually the case.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time?
I have us at 1 hour and 2 minutes.
Okay. That's, I think, for Mortal Kombat.
Honestly, more than I thought we were going to get out of Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Like, honestly, there was a small part of me that was like, oh, let's do Mortal Kombat first just so we can get that one out the way. But, you know, both of these turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think I felt better about it when we started. I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about this. Like, something that there's exceptions. Not every episode is a banger, but I think something you said was that I think we're at our best when we're using the films that we're discussing to actually talk about denser, more conceptual things.
Yeah.
When we're talking about storytelling, when we're talking about filmmaking, when we're talking about social justice or injustice issues, when we're talking about film blocking, you know, editing out controversial things.
Exactly. Like, you know, people
canceling.
I just don't feel like this show would be very interesting if we were like, yeah, so that fight in the original Mortal Kombat where they fought was super cool. Yeah, that was a cool fight. How about this fight? And like, there's a little bit of that.
Or that movie sucked because it didn't have a tournament. Wow, we're being really mean to that reviewer. The tournament sucked. And
well, he was just the first reviewer that I saw that hit all the points that I've been hearing multiple people hit. So I'm sorry. I am sorry, film reviewer. I said your name before. But you know, I don't mean to pick on you. I'm sure you've written some really phenomenal reviews, and I'm sure I hate movies that you love. But you just happen to be the first person that I saw.
I'm getting flashbacks to the end of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where they're going through all the internet comments about them sucking and like beating their ass, going to their houses and beating their asses.
But for me, like I agree, like, and that's the reason I said it originally. Like, I think we are best when, like you said, we use this as a springboard, or like Liam O'Donnell, who was on the show talking about Rough Cut Collective, his t-shirt company.
Yep. That was a great episode. I really enjoyed that.
When Liam was like, he has a podcast too called Cinema Smorgasbord, where they do themes, and they do one called they kind of switch up the themes every month. They do an ongoing one called Praising Kane, where they are going through the work of Carol Kane and giving her credit where credit's due. And they did an episode on Annie Hall, and they were originally talked about skipping the episode altogether because they didn't really want to give Woody Allen more credit than he deserves. Sure. But Carol Kane herself says it was a very important movie for her in her career. So instead of sitting down and being like, "Oh, here's Annie Hall," and talking about it, they instead used it as a platform to talk about if you're being able to separate the art from the artist, and if you can do that, and absolutely. If you can't, why you can do it with some artists and not others, and they use that as they barely talked about Annie Hall as a whole. They talked about her in the movie, but but I still thought it was a great conversation about Annie Hall.
I think those conversations are extremely important, and if you cancel the film. If you refuse, I understand the importance of platform and giving things attention, and the power that has. What any given platform chooses to highlight, that has power. Mm-hmm. So, for me, and like for the example of Annie Hall, equally as important is why you're highlighting, why you're using your platform to discuss it.
Yeah.
So. You can use your platform to talk about Annie Hall in a way that disregards or ignores the controversy of the filmmaker. Yeah. Or you can use it as a platform to discuss why it's problematic. Mm-hmm. And if you're having those conversations, then the platform is being responsible. I think it's about what you're choosing to discuss. I think we did a Roman Polanski film at one point that we had a similar kind of discussion about, though now I can't think of the film.
I discussed a Roman Polanski film on Frightmares on that podcast.
Okay.
I feel like we've talked about some controversial figure. Absolutely. On the show. I'm actually looking at our list of films right now. For some reason, I know what you're talking about. I cannot remember what the movie was or what we had talked about, but it was there somewhere. You can't do 5 seasons of a TV show or not TV show, of a podcast and not eventually get to someone who's...
I think we were talking about Rosemary's Baby at some point.
We very well could have been,
even if it wasn't like the topic of the episode, I think
that sounds right.
That came into play.
That sounds right.
But
who we were talking about? We were probably talking about John Landis when we did Coming to America.
Oh, that was the recent one. Yeah. I think that about, again, there's not like a bunch of storyline to dive into. It's more about a discussion about video game remakes and as always, expectations that we bring into your viewing. But overall, enjoyable films.
Yeah.
As long as you keep the bar appropriately low. And they're enjoyable. I don't know that I'll ever watch them again, but if I do, I'm going to enjoy the ride.
Yeah. 100%. Well,
There you go. Anything else that you wanted to throw in there in the mix about anything else?
not that I can think. Oh, actually, this is a cool one. I am actually going to be a judge for the Milwaukee Short Film Festival.
That's right. When is that? Will this episode come out after?
I
that
think
this
so,
happens, or-
but I'm going to find out because I haven't been sent any of the films yet. It is September 10th through through November 21st. Wow, that's a long festival, guys. Oh, it's probably going to be online, so that makes sense.
Okay.
So, yes.
So, you're going to be the judge.
I'm going to be one of the judges. Yes.
A judge.
Yeah, I'm going to be one of the judges.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've not gotten to judge before. I've done panels and I've done other stuff, but I've never gotten to actually be a judge. So, that's going to be exciting. I'm going to be watching a lot of short films.
Cool.
So,
and do you have? Is this a festival that you've done work with before? Have you partnered?
Yes,
with
my From the Darkness Theater. I think actually all of my films have shown there.
Okay.
I've done panels for them before. I did a panel for them about low budget filmmaking, which was actually an episode for us. I think in season 2.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
So yeah, I've done work with them before.
Okay, so assuming this comes out before the festival, which I'm pretty confident that it will.
Yes.
Take a look at that and keep an eye out for tickets and how you can be a part of it.
Exactly. So that's all I've got.
All right. Well, then I guess if you don't like what we had to say about Mortal Kombat, I've got 2 words for you.
Watch movies.
The Shameless Picture Show is recorded in Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Easton, Maryland, and is hosted and produced by Nick Richards and Michael Viers. Today's episode was edited by Michael Viers. Our opening theme music was written especially for us by The Directionals, with narration by Zach McLean. The end credit music you're enjoying at the moment was generously provided by my friends in the band 10 Speed. The Shameless graphic design is masterfully done by Amanda Viers. An extra special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters and to our generous sponsors. We are on Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Google Play, and Libsyn. You can find links for all these amazing people in the description below.